why don't Liverpool play every game like this one? Because they were good in this one, and they haven't been as good as they were in this one in other games this season.
I think that the way that Manchester United played was maybe a bit naive for this kind of game. And we've already said that they played this really aggressive out-of-possession system. If you watch the game back, there's phases of play in the first half where the three Manchester United midfielders are all pushed up against their Liverpool counterparts because they're playing player for player. And it just leaves space open for Liverpool to exploit. So it's almost making Liverpool's job a little bit easier.
It is, but haven't we seen Liverpool so far this season? We described it before as, in some cases, becoming 10 1v1 duels, or 9. Those are the examples of the sorts of things that we've seen Liverpool not perform superbly at throughout this season so far, right? Like individual errors and
but I think the issue there is that what they're doing here is they're in the attacking phase when those duels are taking place. I don't think that Manchester United really made Liverpool's press get exposed at any point in a way that other teams have done. And so it just very much became a case of Liverpool try to play through the Man United press. If they can do that, they then have a lot of space to then exploit. And they've got Nunez on one side and Salah on the other, and they can get those players running in behind. And I think that's just perfect for them.
And Liverpool are being handed the ball a lot as well. It's not that they're winning it back with the press. It was they were in position to press, but they were being given the ball. And one of the goals is a counter-attack from like a corner, I think it was, back to front. And
I felt like they just had to sit deep and then wait for those spaces to open up, play a few passes. They knew that they had the fullback open, so there's a nice get out for an aggressive press. Play that pass and then see what happens from there.
Yeah.
There's a psychological point to it as well with Liverpool in that they've definitely been really good against big teams this season, apart from Real Madrid, obviously, in Champions League. But in the Premier League, they've been really good against City. They did not beat City, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, early on in the season.
And they just... Not that they raise the level, but this happens sometimes. And we think they're at the beginning of a new cycle. They're trying to transition into what they're going to be. They're having not the greatest time. They're still close to the Champions League. They could easily get into that.
It's worth saying they're currently 3 points off the top four with various different states of games in hand, so it's a bit complicated to work out. But something else which I think may be important to mention, two players, certainly throughout the first half and at the beginning of the second half, that were maybe most instrumental to them, Darwin Nunez and Cody Gakpo, two new players. It felt like I was watching a Liverpool team for the first time where that front three kind of clicked together.
So Klopp's tried a few different bits and pieces. He couldn't do it before Gakpo was there, obviously, and Firmino's going to leave it into the season. So it's interesting to see whether he wants to go with the same kind of falsy 9 situation where the number 9 drops in to help link with the midfield and have some dialogue there. But they can rotate with Nunez. You can also go to the left or through the middle. So that's one thing. That'll take time to come through. I agree with Gary Neville saying this is like a freak result, but Liverpool were good for it. They were great. They played the way they should have been playing, and everything kind of worked for them, and that gives you momentum and confidence. And my point on the psychological aspect of it is maybe they're really, really up for the big games, and they've got the crowd behind them, and then just everyone goes at it 100% mentality monster style going at it. But when you play against a team you've played a load of times in the last few years, and maybe you're just not quite on it that one game, that's when you drop that little bit of intensity when you're that Liverpool team, then that's when the little gaps come in and you see the little bits of defence exposure that have been letting them concede goals during the season, if that makes sense.
It does.
But not to say that they're not desperate to win every single game, but there will be certain ones where you're more up. It just is. And then when that happens, this could be one of those things that then gives them that revive. Oh, this is how good we could be. This is what we need to be. And then there's a real. It galvanizes them maybe going forward, even though they're already half decent.
Look forward to them losing their next game.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Was watching this weirdly. I was thinking. I bet they're nowhere near as good in that next game.
Who do they play next? Liverpool? Do we know?
I don't know. Actually,
there's a lack of consistency with Liverpool this season, right?
Bournemouth.
I know,
and they beat them 9-0, didn't they, at the beginning of the season?
They'll beat them.
But I do think a lot of this comes down to a lack of consistency. The Premier League's weird at the moment because the race for number 4 spot in that last Champions League spot just seems so open because all of the teams in it seem desperate to not win. So Spurs drop points at the weekend, Newcastle are dropping away, and Liverpool, as we've said, incredibly still in with a chance of getting the top 4, despite the fact that we've been talking about them having a uniquely terrible season. I mean, last week on the podcast, I said I just don't understand how Liverpool can have just got so bad so quickly. And
that's what fired them up.
Yeah, that's right. But it'll be fascinating to see how that race for the number 4 spot goes.
Yes, indeed.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.